I'm Amanda Borges, and this is The Spin on Yahoo Sports. After a third straight loss on Sunday, the Browns have fired coach Hugh Jackson. Jackson had a record of 3-36-1 over 3 years in Cleveland. Also, the team has let go offensive coordinator Todd Hayley. Jackson recently took back play call duties away from Hayley, who's in his first year with the team. Senior NFL writers Terez, Paylor, and Charles Robinson join me to discuss now. Charles, how much did the current dysfunction play into this decision?
Well, I mean, it had everything to do with what happened with Hugh Jackson being fired. I had a chance to talk to multiple sources about this, really going back to last week and through this morning. And Hugh Jackson began to sense the last few weeks that his job was potentially on the line here. He knew that he had no margin for error. And ultimately, that's why he became so concerned with how the offense was functioning and began to press himself more and more on Todd Hayley. And from what I was told, what had upset Hugh and really caused this dysfunction was that he thought Todd Hayley was simply blowing him off, that he was trying to have some input on the offense. Todd Hayley wasn't listening, and it was frustrating Hugh and building pressure within the building between those two men. Now, what I was told was after the Pittsburgh Steelers loss, owner Jimmy Haslam was still sort of on the fence about what to do about this. He didn't want to fire another head coach mid-season. That's something obviously they had done, the Browns had done with the 5 previous head coaches. And to him, that was just another sign of the same old chaos, the same old disorganization from the franchise. But Haslam was leaning on general manager John Dorsey, and this is where things really changed. John Dorsey did not like what this was creating on the roster in terms of just the malaise with players. You don't want infighting with the coaches. It creates problems, particularly with your younger guys. And then Baker Mayfield started to get asked questions about sort of, who's right here? What do you know about this? In a way, almost asking Baker Mayfield in some subtext to take a side, and Baker Mayfield did not want to do that. John Dorsey didn't want Baker Mayfield getting drawn into this. He's the future. Haslam stepped in at that point and said, look, we got to make a decision here, and that's why Hugh Jackson went.
Terez, from what you're hearing, there was a feeling inside the building that this was probably the right time to make a change.
Absolutely. I had a chance to reach out to some people as well, and what I was able to gather was that as the losses have mounted, Hugh Jackson's message, while he is regarded as a good guy and someone who is well-liked, that message has gotten stale. And you can kind of see that play out on the sideline, even on Sunday. The Browns were down by a touchdown, and there really wasn't kind of a sense of rallying around the cause. And that was just as much of a concern to everyone involved as anything. I mean, you got to have guys competing, and you got to have them, playing hard and consistently, fighting and believing you can win. And the hope is that by making this move, you not only spare Baker Mayfield these questions, as Charles mentioned, you can also kind of light a fire under a roster that has talent, but at 2-5-1 hasn't gotten the most out of that talent.
Well, now this week, the Browns get to host the Chiefs, so good luck to you, Cleveland. Thanks, as always, guys. For more on this and everything around pro football, listen to Terez and Charles on the Yahoo Sports NFL podcast.